Hello, and welcome to our beautiful podcast today. Today has been long time coming. I am super excited, super delighted, really privileged, feel over the moon about sitting down with my newfound friend, Ella Davidson. I'm going to read this out because it sounds so good, and I was about to find the words myself, and I thought, why make something up when someone else has already done it? So, in the words here, Ella Davidson, you are the founder of the beautiful book publicist company that's called the Book Publicist. You are an esteemed book publicist with over 20 years of experience and is passionate about non-fiction books. Her entrepreneurial spirit and keen understanding of the power of publicity led her to establish the Book Publicist in 2008. She had a clear vision to create an honest, results-focused and non-fluff PR agency to enable talented authors and experts to share their brilliant ideas, etc., etc. That's where we're going to stop with about you this afternoon. But this afternoon, I just really want to share everything that you have sort of discovered in your gorgeous life so far. And for those listeners that are completely new to you, Ella, if we could just start out by going back in time a little bit. So do you want to just share with us where you're from and what kind of setting did you grow up in?
Well, hi Josephine. It's lovely to be here. My first ever podcast. So I'm a PR person that's much happier the other side of the camera. So actually this is really important, lovely one to me, and it's so nice to be talking to you. So yeah, a bit about me. I'm actually sat in the village I grew up in. So I went full circle. I kind of grew up in a village called Dawson, tiny little beautiful village on the Welsh border, very near the book town of Hay-on-Wye, which you may have heard of.
Mm-hmm.
Has a big famous book festival. So I think that's maybe what influenced my love of books at an early age. Went off to university, went traveling, went to London, met my husband, moved away from London. Being a country girl, I loved London. It was lots of fun, but I was kind of country girl at heart. And then lived up in North Yorkshire for a while, where I set up the Book Publicist. And then I've got 3 boys, but after the second boy, we decided to move back to Herefordshire. And then quite recently, over a year ago, we built this house. So we kind of found a beautiful rundown little cottage in the village that I grew up in. And so we extended that, and essentially it's a beautiful garden. We've kind of like been working on having a bit more of a kind of inside outside life, and that's where we've kind of brought our family now. So in terms of where I'm from and who I am, that's it. I'm a country girl from Herefordshire on the Welsh town.
Oh my God, and this is so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And also, Ella, like you beforehand, you excited me and delighted me, and now you make so much sense with everything that you do. Because what you just shared is not only are you the founder of your own company, i.e. the Book Publicist, and the bone and the pillar and the foundation of that, but the fact that you also decided to go back to where your roots were originally from, and moreover, not just buy a house, but build a house. So you're again the founder of your own life, the founder of your home life, the structure of your life. And you know, the home and how we choose to live is such a reflection of what we're actually about. You know, it really represents something very deep. And on top of that, you're also the founder and the creator of 3 human beings. So I just want to start off saying, to me, you're just representing this sort of really grounded, earthy, stabilizing and rooted energy. And you know, that's what I meant with you make so much sense now that I know these extra bits about you.
And it's so interesting that you said rooted, because if you kind of take that analogy, that when I looked at this house, it's surrounded by trees. And I don't think you can see them actually, do they? Do kind of look a bit if you look through my window.
Oh, I can see.
But we walked around, and trees have always, wherever I've been, when we were living in London, we'd go to the parks, we go to Wimbledon Common. And whenever I felt stressed or had to make a decision, whether that's through the business or in my personal life, being around trees for some reason has helped me make decisions. And just, you know, kind of half an hour walk around trees, and I kind of felt that, I don't know, inner peace and that kind of ability to make a decision.
Mm.
So I think growing up around that and then coming back to that is nature, I guess, has been really important to me.
Oh my God. And this resonates so much with me. So as you know, I do energy healing as well. And I always relate everything back to nature. And for me, similarly to you, it was never kind of like, a cognitive kind of decision of like, ooh, I've read this in a magazine, or, I was taught this is the good thing to do. So equal stress release. For me, it literally goes back to ever since I was little, my great grandmother, whenever I would go to see her, she had this huge big garden. It was quite wild. And I would just sort of lose myself and daydream myself away to sort of better and brighter places, being in that garden. And it was really, going on a journey of discovery just through her garden and smelling all the smells. And she taught me how to plant, and she taught me how to know when things were ripe and what wasn't ripe. And she really gave me that incredible joy and healing experience of living in the cycle and in sync with nature, and really just naturally through having those experiences, it really set me up for life, because she would always go, like, but look, we plant the seed of the carrot or the potato in the soil, but we don't sort of dig down after 1 week and go, oh, has it grown? We trust that things take time, and sometimes it's going to bloom and sprout, and sometimes it won't. And that's life, and it's okay. So I really strongly connect with that. I want to, because I know I don't have you for the 10 hours I would have hoped for. I want to pivot us into the thing that I know you're super passionate about talking about today, which is what you have been creating and what you continue to create and what you continue to really I keep having this word heralding. I don't know if that's an English word, but you continue to sort of pioneer within your own company. And this is all about how we can and how we must choose to create a work life that really supports our everyday life, not the other way around. So Ella, the torch, the speaker is yours.
And you know what? It's something I've learned from when I was in London and I was working for that, climbing that ladder. You finish university, like, yeah, let's go climb the ladder, without really thinking, what do I want? Who am I? What makes me happy? And therefore ended up in jobs where I wasn't happy, and therefore I wasn't very good at them. I didn't fulfill, and I didn't have purpose, and I was scared, and I felt nervous. And it was really from those experiences, and one particularly bad job that I had in London, where I felt actually like I need to ring someone every time I go to work. I feel so scared. I need building up before I can even go in. Horrible experience. And myself and my husband left London, and he had a similar kind of relationship with his work. And when I set up the Book Publicist, that was the key thing for me, is that huge responsibility. If I employ other people, you're kind of responsible for their happiness, because they're with you a lot of time. And I've seen various surveys, and they talk about actually the relationship you have with your boss or your manager has more impact on your life than the relationship you have with your partner.
Exactly.
And I felt this huge, and I knew kind of how it felt when you did have a negative relationship. And for a few reasons. One, just being a decent person, you want people to be happy, and I don't want that on me, for someone to fear how I felt.
Yeah.
But also, I think from a business point of view, if people are happy and they have their purpose and they're working in the way they want to work, they bring their best selves to work, and that's where you get amazing things. They're not just working for you, they're working with you, and you're working together. And then I think you create something that is not only brilliant in terms of the skill set, but also the culture and the people around you, and the authors we work with. They feel it. They know if it's a happy company or not. So basically, ever since, and particularly since COVID, but ever since I started the company, that's been the most important thing. Everything else will come. The clients will come, the money will come, everything will come if you just look after people, and everyone's happy and everyone's moving in the right direction. And actually, sometimes they need to branch off and go in other ways. We had 2 amazing graduates that joined us, worked with us for about 3 years. One of them wanted to go to Oxford University Press, so she went and did some work there, and one went to a big charity and wanted to do in-house and work in a city. And I was so happy for them. But you know what? Both of them have come back and now work with me again. And that was the biggest compliment for me. Kind of let people fly. And if it's right, they come back. And if it's not, that's okay as well. But yeah, you don't own them. It's a kind of mutual respect, I think, when you recruit people.
100%. And it also sounds like something that was coming up for me. I'm a really visual person, and I get so inspired by who I surround myself with. And as you were talking, Ella, I literally saw a tree through you. It's like your sort of approach is almost like it's an inside out job. So you again, like you mentioned something that I think is so important, often you will have more impact over a person's well-being than perhaps their partner, than perhaps part of their family. And actually, this is a really interesting thing because again, you are that pillar, you are that tree. And in essence, when people come to work for you, you're also a livelihood. And this is something, I know a lot of people don't like to talk about money, but in the end of the day, you are absolutely representing to the primitive brain, and we do operate very much in our nervous system, right? So to the primitive brain, who we work for also equals, will I have a roof over my head? Will I be able to pay my rent? Just like, will the basic needs be met? So there's, you have to, as a leader, understand that responsibility and understand that, this is how other people will interact with you. We can, of course, we can have lots of wonderful things in common and shared values and all of this. But as a leader, this is an extension of responsibility that you have to ground yourself and plant yourself into. It's not something we can just put aside. So the way you were talking about why this is so close to your heart and why you choose to embrace people the way that you do and in the ways that you do, which I'm going to ask specifically about in a moment, it really made me feel like, again, like the mythology, the approach is an inside out. You're that rooted, grounded tree. And,
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think empathy, I think if you can understand how you would feel and stop looking at it as a company with structure and names, like actually it doesn't matter whatever our job titles are, it really doesn't matter because we're a team. And I think as soon as you think of it in that way, then you can't do anything but be kind to people, and you can't do anything but check in. Like most of my time is spent and it's sort of checking in. How are you? Having conversations. And I used to think, oh, I'm spending so much time doing this HR stuff, as I'd call it. And I think as the company's grown, I've realized that isn't HR stuff. That is running a business. Like leadership, I don't know. I don't like to call myself a leader, but you know what I mean? I think that it is just checking everyone's okay and it's all running smooth and
But that's exactly it. And also, again, I will eventually get away from this tree analogy, but I just keep seeing it. It's almost like we can imagine that. So you're kind of mother tree, right? You're the trunk of the tree and you're the big, great roots of the tree. But every single time you decide to invite someone into your company, into your tree, they create a new root with you. So you're adding on roots and roots and roots. Now, if one of the roots is not really fully in it and not really finding themselves, then the root won't go deep. And that will actually, then the tree itself will not be able to grow. The whole business, the whole venture, the whole project, the whole being will be destabilizing. So I think this actually makes so much sense. And that's why I keep going like it's an inside out approach. So
or
now,
if you keep that tree in a pot where their roots can't grow, i.e. you don't find out what your team are good at, what they love and let them grow, then that tree isn't going to get much bigger either. You're going to dwarf it, aren't you? And that is true as well. Just like letting go a little bit, not micromanaging. And that's something I've had to learn because it's your baby and it's like, oh, I want to do it all my way. And then you're like, no, realizing actually other people have skills that I don't have and other people can do things better than I can, and letting them have the freedom to do that, to grow, to push, for their roots to ground.
I loved it. And also, so tell us a little bit more about how you do that in terms of practicalities, because I remember in the little gorgeous thing that you sent over, you were mentioning something about, certain people work better in the evening, some people work better in the morning. So on a really sort of practical levels, what are some of the things, some of the methods that I'm sure you're still discovering because we're an ever growing, evolving species, right? But yeah, tell us a little bit about some things that you're doing.
Yeah, so we try and be as flexible as we can. Like, obviously, there's some work that needs to be done in the kind of 2 to 4 time.
Yeah.
But then outside of that, sorry, the 10 till 2 time. But outside of that, if people want to start early, if they want to work late, then that's absolutely fine. And I encourage everyone, come to me, any questions, come to me. So someone said to me, oh, I'd love to go to Berlin for a month. Can I do that? Can I work from there? Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Or someone said to me, one of the ladies loves to spend time with her children over the summer. We're quieter over the summer. She said, could I take some more time off over the summer? Yeah, absolutely. That's fine. And so I think things like that, I mean, it stemmed, we used to have an office in Hay, and then COVID happened. And as awful as it was, I think it did force us to do things in a different way, and then forced us to realize, oh, actually, perhaps we could do things in a different way rather than just carry on as we had without thinking about it. And I remember being barefoot outside in my garden, phoning everyone and saying, how are you finding it working from home? And I remember all of the responses. One was like, oh, I love going for a run in the morning, or I love doing yoga at lunchtime. Oh, I don't have to do an hour commute to where you are. So we decided, okay, let's just all work remotely. And that's been great because it links back to people being who they want to be and doing what they want with their life. So some people, work is quite a huge part of their life. Like me, I'm a little bit of a work addict, and my husband can't shut me up because what I would love to do is just talk about business and processes all day. I love it. But
Me
I'm
too.
also very aware that the rest of our team, like canoeing and like horse riding or whatever, but they don't, it's not their baby in quite the same way. And it's nice that they can have their other interests. So we have things like what do we call it? Charity days, I think we call it. But anyway, a chance for people to take some days off in the year if they do something that's meaningful to them. So one of our team, her mum brings up Labradors for blind people.
Oh,
And so
wow.
she took a couple of days while they were being born and helping like support those and that kind of thing. So lots of things like that, really.
Oh
Just
my God.
there's nothing specific that we do, I don't think, other than just being open to not being too rigid and just being open to listen really to what is important to other people. And it varies from person to person.
Right. No, but Ella, I mean, I remember this is going back so many years. I think I was only 20 or something, but I have always been so fascinated by what moves us as human beings, and especially in terms of the relationship with ourselves, a relationship that has been reflected into others and into groups, and then also into whether it's a small company, big company, whatever it is. And I remember reading this book, I think I was only 20, and it was all about this thing of, different approaches to how, as a leader, as a founder. And I know you're like, I don't want to use the word leadership, but you are the founder, you are the mother tree. So mama tree, here we go. How can we, ensure that people that choose to come into our group of trees, into our network, that people feel empowered to speak up, to share what, whether it's that they are scared of something, they're worried about something, or that they're excited about something. The fact that you are naturally, so deeply radiating that approach, because that was what this book was all about. It was that thing of, as a leader, you're not just sitting on the top of the pyramid, and there's another way to create really empowered, wonderful communities, because that's really what it is, wonderful relationships where everyone really want to be part of this, and the fact that, you're creating this flexibility where people are coming to you and they're asking those questions, that is the ultimate place to be in, because, so go on.
And you're right. No, it's just, it's feeling safe. And it goes back to the bad experience I had, and I don't ever want everyone to not feel safe. But if they feel safe, and that's not that we say yes every time, and they're okay with that. That's the wonderful thing. They feel safe to ask.
Yeah.
They also feel happy if we say no, because they know that we're listening. It's not just a straight no, but
No.
actually we listen, and we listen to them, and they have brilliant ideas. And then I'm like, oh yeah, we should tell other people to do
Yeah,
that.
but
And then, like you say, they're empowered people who then make everything better.
oh, 100%. And it's also like as you know, an organism is only as strong as, in inverted commas, its weakest link, right? And the weakest link might just be sitting on the greatest idea ever. And so to create that environment where people are really encouraged to come, and like you said, sometimes it's a no, sometimes it's a maybe, sometimes it's a let's have a think about it.
Yeah.
But to create that flow, because that's the ideal scenario in all relationships, right? And also the relationship that we have within ourselves. It's that thing of, we might, let's say, I'll tell you a personal story. So I decided I wanted to have a go at riding a scooter. Now, my first thought was like, oh my God, I'm super scared. Lundy's very busy. And then another thought was like, what if I can't pass the test? Like, I got really scared. I had all the shame around test and And then again, so then in essence, I shut myself down completely. But then I put on my other hat, which was like compassionately curious. I was like, but what if I'm just allowed to experiment? So I did. And I went out and I did it. But, it's that thing of recognizing within ourselves how quickly we shut ourselves down before someone else has even shut ourselves down. And then creating that space outwardly, just as a natural extension of who you are. Because again, you are the root, you are the mama tree of your gorgeous community.
It was so interesting as well, what you said there about actually thinking, oh, it's okay, I can experiment. And if I fail, that's fine. And that's another thing we do. I hadn't thought about it until you said that. And I was like, oh yeah, that's really helpful as well. So we have a Thursday meeting and we celebrate what's gone brilliantly. How's everyone done? What media wins have you had? What new contacts you got to share? But the other thing we do is we talk about our flops, and I talk about my flops, which I think helps everyone else say, oh yeah, so what went wrong? And I'll be like, and actually I'm the biggest mess. I mess up all the time. So I'll be like, oh, this happened and this happened, or when I almost did this, and I sent a proposal with something stupid in it or whatever. And then we just talk about them and laugh about them. Say, oh God, what did I do this week? We recognizing we're all human, we all make mistakes. Also, what did we learn from them? But mainly it's just so that we can say it's okay. I say to them, if you're not making mistakes, then you're not pushing yourself enough. You're not kind of like feeling relaxed. I'm doing something wrong if you don't feel like you can make mistakes. Because you all know when you don't make a mistake, you're not really stepping outside of the zone that you know what to do. So you're not growing at all. Back to the growth. You're not growing, are you? If you're not reaching far enough, then you're just playing it safe, which is fine. And the businesses do run and they just play it safe, but it's quite boring and it's not great for you individually to develop.
No,
like me doing a podcast today.
Yes, exactly. Actually, should we just take a moment?
And I'd forgotten since we've been talking that I was even doing a podcast. So maybe it's a new thing for me doing podcasts.
Ella, I'm looking forward to being, a guest on your podcast, the Ella Show, the Ella Special, the Book Publicist podcast. Yeah, there's going to be, anyway, I'm going to stop there. Listen, what you just were sharing here is so important. So, as you know, I am all about the human element, all about the human connection, all about the heart to heart. And the fact that you were sharing that thing again as a leader, as the founder, you are sharing openly, hey, these are all the things that, these were the good thing of, in brackets, like these were the things that went well. These were the things where, oh, I might do this differently next time. Things that, might have disappointed you, or things where you were disappointed in yourself or in a situation, or, whatever happened, to share that openly, because this makes you relatable. This allows you, this invites people into your being, because you're not sitting there going, hey, I'm perfect and super rigid and I don't ever make a mistake. You're saying, hey, I'm a human being like all of you guys, and if you want to be in my canoe, jump on over and we can scrabble away together. Like that's that relatability that's what people fall in love with. That's also why I was like, I want to work with Ella, I wanted to work with
And
you.
also with you. And I find it, I don't know whether you're finding this in your kind of sphere of work, but I'm finding more and more the authors that are coming to us, and big serious business authors and entrepreneurs. I'm not talking just kind of well-being type who you expect to be lovely and nice, but leadership type and the leadership stuff that you do. But I'm finding more and more it's the authenticity and they're sat there in their hoodies or dress how you want, dress in a suit, but I'm kind of just, super relaxed. But I think it is more authentic and kinder and more understanding and just a bit more human across the board, I find.
100%. And it's also like, it's the human element that we fall in love with. So, like our shared friend, Leanne, right? So Leanne Muskell, dear listeners out there, we did an interview a few episodes ago. Go back. She's the expert in ADHD, autism, all of it. Anyway, back to you and me. The thing about Leanne that I love so much is that she's fully herself. I've heard her share the most amazing things, but I've also heard her and felt her shared unapologetically all of the really big challenges that she's gone through in her life. And that's a genuine connection. Then all of a sudden, right there in that moment between tears and laughter, I can find myself. I see myself in her and I see myself in you. And that is why we're having these conversations. And that's also why I started the podcast in the first place, Ella. I wanted to create a platform where people could share a genuine life story and genuine life tools that they, through lived experience, not just, it's great to study, but we can't, the best school is the school of life. This is what you've genuinely experienced, and these are the genuine results you're getting. And if it inspires others, then hallelujah,
And we do a lot of AI books, and I come across this terrifying thing the other day because it was so amazing. But it was someone had uploaded their book to this whatever AI system it was, and it had created a podcast. Totally just from what was in the book of a person interviewing the author about this topic, whatever's in the book. And it kind of brings back to, if we don't have this human and that connection, because that's the difference really that you can tell. That's kind of where we're better than AI, and AI can't yet, or I'm sure never really create that heart. It's the mistakes, and it's the warts, and it's the fears, and all of that kind of stuff, isn't it? It's our flops that makes us human.
100%. 100%. And it's also, it's you definitely ooze. This is the word that comes to my mind right now. You are oozing this incredibly warm, nurturing, empowering, motivating, inspiring energy, just by your presence, Ella. And like I said as well, like when you and I met over that Zoom call a few months ago, my friend Leanne, she barely told me anything about you. Ella was, but Leanne was just like, hey, speak to Ella. And I had such a good feeling about your energy. And then when we met, I was just like, I'm in love with Ella. I don't fully understand what Ella does, but I'm all in. I'm jumping into that canoe. I'm in the garden.
That's so true. And I think that's so lovely that actually sometimes it's the person. It's a bit like, I trust you. And trust is everything we've spoken about today. So all of my employees, my team, whatever you want to call them, it's the trust that allows me to say, yeah, you go run with that. Or, oh, you really want to go and work there? I trust you can do that. We all work remotely. So it's all trust.
100%.
I'm not looking or caring. I just trust that they care about the job. And they'll probably listen to this after, but I don't even really care how many hours they're doing. I care that they care, and I care and I know that they do, and I know that they care. Their joy comes from the authors being happy, and that comes from them doing the work and keeping them happy. In the same way that I care about my team being happy. And I think as long as if everyone just cares about people,
100%,
and trusts people, and it's that trust.
It definitely is. And you know what just came to mind as we're talking here now, Ella? I'm actually sitting here going, what you're doing is authentic leadership. Like, this is actually what you're doing. It's not only genuine and caring, it's authentic. And that is because you're authentically you, fully standing in your power with branches that are reaching great and high and other branches that perhaps are not fully grown in that year. Like you're fully you with all of you. And that's why you are attracting into your canoe, into your roots network, people that are fully resonating with you. You know, that's what authentic leadership is about. You know, it always starts, it's an inside out job. So yeah, this is you. Oh,
Thank you. It's really nice to hear, because even though it is authentic, and I do think I am totally me, it's such hard work.
yeah.
Like leadership and being, I guess, true and nice, and I have to check myself constantly. Like don't get me wrong, I have those negative thoughts or those cross thoughts or those mistrusting thoughts, and I have to check myself. And it takes it kind of takes a positive action. It's not just kind of natural. I think that being authentic isn't the same as being natural. I think you have to kind of really try to be authentic and try to check yourself, really. I guess just to keep thinking. I always say this to my children, say it to everyone. Presume people want the best. Presume people want to do the best. Don't presume the worst of someone. And if something isn't coming out as their best, it's probably a miscommunication or something there, normally because they're not happy in some way. I mean, that's when I'm unhappy, that's when the not so nice Ella comes out. And you have to check it, don't you? And you think, hang on, what's causing that? What's causing me to manage in that way or to micromanage in that way? And it's not because I'm stressed or I'm overwhelmed, but it's nothing to do with the other people. It's from in here, really.
100%. I mean, it always is. It always is. And thank you for pointing that out, that, you know, it's not all easy, but it's a choice we make. And it's always a choice we make, you know, every day, every moment is a choice we have. So, I know you have time. So I know you don't have a lot of time. So I want to pivot around again. And I want to ask you, going back to this moment, because this was really pivotal when I read our little brief, your email to me before our podcast. So you wrote about that moment when COVID happened, and you said, I think you mentioned around 90% of your business kind of was like, woo. So take us back there and just talk us through a little bit about what were some things, you know, what voices came up to you, what whispers came to you during that time, because obviously it was super challenging for everyone.
I mean, it was. We had, at the time, I had a 4-month-old baby, a 5-year-old, and a 7-8-year-old. Me and my husband were working from home. I mean, don't get me wrong, I had a house in the countryside, so I do feel very lucky. I had outdoor space, so that was really nice. But we had an office in Hay, and literally overnight, we don't have retainers where kind of people are tied in, and we don't work in that way. We're very much work with us while it's working with you kind of thing, working for you. So pretty much overnight, the phone calls are coming in. Oh, we love you guys, but it's really difficult time for us. We can't be doing PR. Totally get it. Like, absolutely, that's totally fine. It's totally fine. But, you know, we still had a company of kind of, I don't know, I think it was maybe 10 people, 8 people at that time. And we sat down, and me and my husband, it was the time where you could, was it called furlough? Yeah, you could furlough people. So the government would pay wages and basically you wouldn't have to work. And in a lot of ways, I thought, well, that would be nice. I can just look after the kids and actually do this teaching job that I'm supposed to be doing as well, and not work. But it didn't feel right. It didn't feel right because it just felt like, I think, for me, and I think for a lot of people, work is still their purpose.
Yes.
And I mean, unashamedly, I can say that, having brought up children and being a little bit itching to get back to work.
Yeah.
And luckily, my husband, I mean, we were like mum, dad. My husband does more than 50% of childcare, if you want to call it that. But yeah, well, absolutely. And yeah, and I just felt like, okay, it felt like giving up somehow. And I just thought, our work is our purpose. So kind of dug down deep, said, right, well, what can we do? And it was like going back to when I first started the business, when it was just me and I was scrambling for work. What can I do? Like, this is coming from nothing. How do I find work? And so we did that, and we kind of contacted lots of people, understanding that, you know, actually they couldn't invest, slashed all our prices down, and we're kind of still working, and we became busy just to make ends meet, really. But that was okay because it was kind of so valuable that we were
Yes.
still doing what we were doing.
Yes.
partly for us and our day-to-day and what we were doing, partly for our purpose, partly partly from a business kind of side of things. I think it showed the business going, and it kept going. But also, honestly, and it's why we do what we do, partly because we had authors that were talking about how to talk to your children, how to be, and we were doing a book, Assertive Mum, Angry Mum. We had books on leadership and resilience. And I was kind of like, why I love what I do is because we just get to pass on this amazing knowledge that our authors have to people who need it. And during lockdown, people needed what our authors were saying more than ever. It was hugely important, the kind of advice and tips they were sharing. So it was nice. And actually, we had enough people that said, yeah, actually, let's keep going. So, you know, they kept getting publicity, and the media was still obviously reporting. Actually, there's probably a lot more people sat reading the media. So we kind of just clung on in that way and just stay true to like, what are we doing, i.e. sharing these important things. How can we, what's the minimum, like obviously there's a business head as well, but what's the minimum we can actually do that for? Let's do it for that then. And those authors have come back to us and have put their prices up, you know, post-COVID. It wasn't kind of like, oh no, they understood and appreciated that we were, you know, a quarter of the price. So it was lovely. It was really, really nice. And it was a really nice community feel with the team, but also the authors we work with, to not as usual, but almost kind of like, right, what can we do to help people in this situation? Let's keep doing that.
100%, 100%. And I'm just sitting here nodding because it was exactly the similar situation that took place for me. Because I am really not considering myself a lot of like very technical person. And even before lockdown happened, I sort of decided to not do anything in person anymore. And I do all my talks. Everything was always me in person being out there. And I called all my clients up and I was like, as of tomorrow, I'm doing everything online. And I have a lot of agents for the talks that I do. And they were all like, oh, but Josie, I don't think any of the companies are going to hire you. And I work a lot for, you know, City of London. And I was like, well, it will be what it will be. And next thing you know, I was on Zoom, and then the companies like the financial district in London was opening it up to their sister companies in the States and in Australia and in Asia. And so all of a sudden I was just this online personality. But it was exactly what you said. For me, it's great. You know, I'm self-employed and I wasn't getting that furlough. That wasn't an option, but it wasn't actually for the money. For me, it was 100% that. By the way, nothing wrong with money. Money is great. We all need it. But for me, it was 100% that I was like, I know me, and I will literally get super down if I'm not doing my purpose. Like my purpose, it has to get out there. Otherwise, I just don't feel good. And then I can't be good for anyone to be around. So, you know, it was great for the world that I was out there, but it was really like, again, looking after the first relationship, which is I'm only responsible for making sure my own energy is high. So I can really resonate with like, you needed it for your purpose. And then as a collective, you were also bringing purpose to the people you're working with and tunneling their messages out into the wider world. So I'm so resonating with you.
And sometimes it takes something to, it was a horrible thing to shake things up, but some kind of change does show that when something changes, opportunities can come from that. In that, you know, I bet you do a lot of online stuff now, and I think we all do kind of, you know, new services come from change, and it's just sort of I think that's kind of important, isn't it? Just to think it's good to just stop sometimes, and it's probably the same as what I do when I go for a walk in the trees. Stop and pause and think, actually, that sometimes the answer comes to you when you're thinking so hard to try and make a decision or think of an answer. And when you stop, and I know you do yoga, so it's probably really linked to that, but I find when I stop, suddenly the answer comes and I'm like, oh, right, yeah, okay.
100%. And it's also like what I really love to do, again, relating it to sort of nature, you know, like, and sorry for the swearing, I always go, who the fuck am I to try and predict what is going to happen? You know, life is not a chessboard. and when you think about it, you know, regardless of belief systems, something brought us here. Whatever that something is, right? There's a natural cycle, there's a rhythm. Something brought us here. Something decided to develop us within the fetus, give us all these amazing extremities, etc. Life was taken care of for the first 9 months of our existence. And then we plumb onto this planet. And then, you know, all of a sudden, we start to have a brain that decides that it's no longer in the belly, it's outside of the belly. And somehow life becomes scary, right? It's like we we trust in life when we needed life for the first 9 months, and then once we're here, it's like, okay, no thanks, adios.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
so do. And do you find, I most certainly find this, that, and I can't explain it, and I don't necessarily have any belief system that
yeah.
that can define it. There's probably lots that define it actually. But sometimes if I'm trying too hard to make something work in business, for example, I trying, it doesn't work. And then if I stop and just do something like talk to the team and we all have a laugh and the culture changes and the culture's feeling good and it does link back to that, then the only word I can use to describe it is it flows. And I can't say why, but the authors start coming in and you start winning things and it's all kind of linked. But if you start trying too hard or sometimes I kind of am working on a project and I feel totally overwhelmed and stressed by it to the point where I'm taking it home and I'm like, talking to the children, but actually I'm just thinking about this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And not in a nice way, not in a kind of, oh, I'm so enthusiastic by this, I want to think about it, but in a, I've got to solve it way. And it never gets solved that way. And sometimes I think, actually just drop it. What's the worst going to happen if you just drop that idea? Because if it's taking this long to figure out, maybe it's not right. It's not right for you or the company.
Oh my God, so true. And it's also that thing of like, I always say, like, we're using the tool that created the problem in the first place to try and figure out the solution.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
the brain, as you know, it's fear-based, right? It's there to keep us safe. It's also there to be creative, but first and foremost, it's there to keep us safe. And so you're using the wrong tool. Totally, we all do that, right? We're like, I'm gonna think my way to the solution. And like you said, so like, whatever you need to do, go into nature, do some breath work, dance around, whatever you need to do, speak to a friend, have a laugh, watch a movie, whatever you need to do, but like you need space. Because when you have a little bit of space away from what the brain will tell you is the problem, then all of a sudden you can see the trees again. We call that in Danish. When you're too close, you don't see the tree, you just see bark. And bark is just like a tight little pattern.
It's true. You can feel your brain shutting down because you can't function to do simple things either. So
No.
you just become useless. And I guess that's why people burn out, don't they? They're kind of just working too hard.
100%.
Up here.
Exactly. And talking about working too hard, I'm noticing we're going over time, so I'm going to stop you here in 1 minute because I know you say 1:45 and it's 49. Very quickly, my love, because you have so much wisdom and it's been such a joy having you here. I always ask this, so I do want to ask you this before we finish. In your incredible life, Ella, with all of the ups and all of the downs and all of the beauty and all of the celebrations and all of the failures and the fear and all of it and all the juicy cauldron that's been your life up until this moment, if you had just one soul message for humanity, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good one. You didn't give me that on advance.
I know. Whatever pops into your head, your heart and your mind is perfect right now.
You know what I thought? Now, it's slightly from a business perspective. I thought lots of things about trusting yourself, but actually ask for help. I think it's really trusting humanity because I really believe, and I have found this time and time again, if you ask for help honestly, and I don't mean in a salesy way or trying to manipulate someone, but if you just say, I need help, could you help me? 9 times out of 10, someone will help you. So yeah, I would say don't be afraid to ask others for help, whether that's a relationship, a friend, or a business. The amount of times that I'm trying to solve a business question, I just think, oh, who do I admire? Who could help me? And I just ask, and people are very, very generous and very kind.
Oh my God, I absolutely love that. And through the asking, we're actually also demonstrating to our own brain that we're not alone. We are not actually ever alone. We're not on this planet alone, and we're not here to do it all alone. And that includes celebrating stuff or feeling sad about stuff or feeling scared about stuff. And the minute we open that up, then shame and anxiety and frustration no longer has any places to live.
Yeah, lovely. And you're letting people, it's quite a nice thing to do to be vulnerable to someone and to show humility and say, I don't know everything. You could help me. It's quite it's lovely to help people, isn't it? So if someone opens up to you and says, it's quite a beautiful thing for someone to say to you, I need your help. very few people would say no in that situation because they want to give. I think humans want to give.
You're so right. And it also means in doing so, what you're actually saying in brackets is, I trust you and I love you.
Yeah.
And also, I really value you and I need you in my life.
Yeah.
We like to feel needed. We like to feel wanted. We like to feel loved. And if we are so self-sufficient that we don't ever ask any of our loved ones, then not only, you know, maybe out of fear or maybe don't want to be a burden or whatever it is, but actually we are blocking ourselves from receiving help and love, but we are also blocking our loved ones from all of a sudden serving a purpose and having a role. Yeah, so it's a two-way gorgeous thing, and I just loved your answers. Ella, it's been an absolute joy. Thank you.
I've really enjoyed it. And I know, I was terrified. I'm like, oh, I can't do a podcast. But I absolutely loved it. So thank you. And I hope somebody's found that interesting. And if not, I really loved it anyway, just chatting to you. So
My God, Ella, this was absolutely amazing. And I know for a fact that this might have been your first, but it will not be your last. So
no, I think I've got the bug now. Thank you, Josephine. Really appreciate it.
thank you so much, Ella. Sending you so much love. And thank you to our listeners. Ella, I'll stay on the line for 1 second and I'm just going to stop here.